The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, says the party will bring smiles to the people of oil-rich Niger Delta when it wins the 2023 presidential election. Delta, I should say. Tinubu said this during the flag-off of the APC campaign in Warri, Delta State. Tinubu, who told the supporters of the party in the state to draw inspiration from what he did as governor of Lagos State, promised the governorship candidate of the party in the state, Oviomo Agege, will bring prosperity to the people.
The Senate President that Ovie Agege is the next governor. Is the next governor. Ovie Agege is the next governor. That we develop your thoughts, that we work with me as the president, that we bring development back, that we bring employment back, that we bring hope and well-developed progress to Nigeria. We know the way. Go to Lagos and see development. Go to Lagos and see prosperity. Go to Lagos and see record of beautiful people. You are there. I'm there. Hope is here. Development is here. Progress is here. Agege is here. Prosperity is here.
Meanwhile, the five aggrieved People's Democratic Party governors, led by Yusuf Wike of Rivers State and some other party stalwarts, have announced the formation of the integrity group within the party. The G5 governors have been clamoring for the resignation of the PDP national chairman, Dr. Yocha Ayu, shortly after the party's presidential ticket was won by Northern Atiku Abubakar. The G5 governors who met in Lagos yesterday were embarrassed as their gathering was interrupted by PDP faithfuls in the state, who sang songs in support of the presidential candidate and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. The governors and some aggrieved party members in Lagos may not be unconnected with the agitation of the removal of Ayu. Addressing newsmen before the closed-door meeting in session, Makinde says the integrity group remained the face behind the struggle within the PDP.
The G5 is all about the integrity group. You can see us as serving governors as the face of this struggle, but the leaders and elders of the party that you see here, they are the people behind those faces. And we're here this morning in the Southwest to review the situation within our party, to review where we are, and to also look at what is going to happen with the coming elections. And at the end of our deliberation this morning, you will be fully briefed on where we stand.
We, at this meeting, have decided to stand on the decisions we took at our last Port Harcourt meeting. And we hereby again reiterate that the window for reconciliation in our great party, the PDP, remains open.
The presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has described as wishful thinking of detractors the news that some northern leaders are pressuring him to step down. for a consensus candidate. Some news platforms a few days ago reported the eminent northern interest had approached Kwankwaso to let go of his aspiration and support the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, to emerge as the consensus candidate of the North. While addressing the Nigerian Guild of Editors in Lagos on Sunday afternoon, the former governor of Kano State lambasted those behind the rumors, saying they were scared of his popularity and wild acceptance of his candidacy across the nation.
Before the closure of submitting names of president and vice president of our parties, we made efforts. We explained to so many people that there was need at that time for merger. Of course, that time we would have merged with some party or parties. That time we would have submitted the name of president and vice president. That would have been okay. But now we have already submitted our names. We have all our candidates on the ground in NNPP like PDP and the APC. Now for you to say you are leaving them to go to another party, then I think something is wrong. So we have been answering these questions over the time. But to go to the point, you see, NNPP is all out to win the 2023 election. And let me tell you, and I think you can put it on record, you can keep this one on record. Today, these other parties, in terms of support and popularity, are coming down with time. And that's the fact of the matter. There is nothing any one of them would do to change this misfortune. I'm ready for a debate with all the candidates to come and put their cards on the table, all of them. Of course, some of them are running away from debate because they have absolutely nothing to say. And some of them, I even pity them because they are even being unfair to themselves and to their families.
Present here are editors from the print, electronic, and online media. So you have an opportunity today to present your roadmap to us, Your Excellency. So the Kwankwaso, Nigerian youths are agitated. I'm sure you are aware of that. They are rightly aggrieved, and they want to know the plans you have for them and why they must support your operation ambition. We want you to use this forum to speak on the plans that you have for them. Let me assure you of the neutrality of the media in these elections. But we will speak for the ordinary people who simply want solutions to their numerous challenges.
Okay, I'll come to you first, Ayo, then Dr. Bati, obviously.
All right, so, I mean, with the story that I think stood out to me the most out of three of them, of course, well, it's the last one that was just taken with Mr. Alhaji Kwankwaso saying that he would not be stepping down for Atiku. And the first thing that comes to mind is much ado about him. Remember in June 2023, we also had the news touted about him. There's a grand alliance between him and Labour Party's Mr. Peter Obi, and he'd come out to denounce that and give reasons why he wouldn't have a grand alliance with him. And so the big question is, you know, the race towards 2023, would he or would he not? It seems as if they have seen, of course, that he has a pull in terms of particularly Kano, the North, and an alliance with another party would tilt it, would be the big tilting, whether for APC, PDP, or the Labour Party. So is it smoke without fire, or perhaps it's something to look deeper into?
Dr. Bati?
Okay, let me start with the Kwankwaso meeting. Kwankwaso was meeting candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party with the Guild of Editors. This is the second in the series of meetings with presidential candidates that the Nigerian Guild of Editors will be holding within the last 2 weeks. The first person to appear at that forum was the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. So Kwankwaso is the second person. And I think, the forum provided by the Guild of Editors, as well as other, associations and organizations. It's a welcome development. And all the presidential candidates should, take advantage of the opportunity that is given by these associations, be it the Lagos Business School or the Guild of Editors or, any other group, to articulate continuously, their views, their proposals, their policy priorities, and to engage with the public in a robust manner. Now, the candidate of the NNPP cleared the air as to whether he will step down for anybody or not. He says he's in this race for the long haul, and that he's not stepping down for Atiku or any other person. That in any case, if people thought it was so strategic, why did they allow him to go? He was formerly in the PDP, left the PDP, went to the APC, left the APC. Now, he has formed the NNPP, which is his own platform, where he says is the best that is possible, that the New Nigeria People's Party can offer. And then he used the opportunity to also reiterate, some of his ideas. He says he's in support of 13% derivation. He says he believes in restructuring, and he will restructure the country. He says one of the priorities that he would engage in will be, giving Nigerians a new constitution. He also established at that forum, his repeated point about insecurity in the country, and the argument that he keeps putting up that he will have to recruit more people into the security agencies, to address that challenge. However, what is important for me in the Kwankwanso presentation was even the statement made by the president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Mustafa Issa. And he said that, look, the expectation of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, as is also the expectation of many Nigerians, is that political parties and their candidates will focus on issues, which is something we've always called for on this table, and that they will refrain from personal attacks. And he recommended that, in fact, maybe spokespersons of these, political parties, 18 of them, should also be made to sign peace accord, because we've seen that, the virulent attacks that we see is not just among the candidates, it's also among the spokespersons. Some of them have turned themselves into comedians on social media, doing a skit for skit, on Instagram, and abusing each other and calling each other names. The president of the Nigerian Guild of Editors is correct in saying that these spokespersons, have done too much to heat up the polity. And then he appealed also to the media, his own constituency. He said no editor is duty-bound, is, under any compulsion to use any toxic material that comes to their table. That is that with regard to the NNPP presidential candidate. We look forward to the next candidate who would also feature on the platform of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Now, as for the integrity group, the 5 governors of the PDP who met in Lagos yesterday for over 3 hours at the instance of the former Deputy National Chairman of the party, were told Chief Olabode George. Well, they say they now have a name, Integrity Group. But at no time at that meeting did they disclose that they were leaving the party. But what seemed to have caused the disruption there was that at some point, one Folorunsho show was quoted today in the paper, said Chief Olabode George had given the impression that party faithful should support the PDP only for House of Representatives and also for assembly elections, for Senate. But that when it comes to governorship and the presidential, party faithful should just ignore the PDP. At which point he said he stood up and said, well, we have a presidential candidate and his name is Atiku Abubakar. So that, led to the disruption that was reported, because the gentleman in one of the newspapers said he was attacked. His clothes, were torn. And at the end of the day, he and others started chanting Atiku, Atiku, Atiku. And the meeting, ended on that note of dissension within the party. Well, number one, I don't think any meeting should be disrupted. people should be allowed to have their say. Even within, units, within political parties, every stakeholder must respect the right of others. It's called democracy after all. Okay, so if at the intra-party level we're having reports of disruption, then that's an indication that something is still not properly placed within the People's Democratic Party. However, in the statements coming out of that meeting, the G5 governors, as they are called, insisted that, one, they are still open to reconciliation. They reiterated their minimum condition that Iyorchia Ayu must step down as chairman of the party. Well, that looked like some kind of birthday gift to, birthday message to Senator Iyorchia Ayu, who, by the way, just turned 70. Congratulations to him on that. But the G5, they insisted that they are still not enthusiastic about his, leadership. And in any case, it wasn't just the G5 at that meeting. As the video is indicating, there were many others who were there. The Osun State PDP gubernatorial candidate, Omobaba Bayemi, was there. Former Governor Mimiko was there. Former Governor Donald Duke was there. Chief Taufik Arakpaja was there. Former Governor Ayo Fayoshe. So it was a meeting, if you like, of the disgruntled wing of the People's Democratic Party. The party says it has moved on, but of course, perhaps, it's been given an opportunity again to still address the concerns of the G5 governors. Well, the PDP will be better off united than divided, as it appears at the moment. Finally, as for the Tinubu story, well, it's political season, and all the parties are going around, they're launching their campaigns. The presidential candidate of the APC was in Warri to launch the campaign and to formally also support Vioma Agege, the gubernatorial candidate. But you see, it ended up as a tit-for-tat event because the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had used the opportunity to tell the people of Delta State that there is no development in their state and that they should not allow their state to be turned into an ATM machine by migrant politicians who are mostly in Dubai rather than inside Nigeria. So, and he said a number of other things that he would do for the people of Delta State. But basically, he gave the impression that the government of Delta State, under the watch of Governor Okowa, is not serving the people very well. And that led to the reactions, from the governor's own camp. I think Aniago, that's the name of the Information Commissioner for Delta State, pointedly in a rebuttal, reminded Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that his records are unknown, that he should first of all go and settle the matter of his record with regard to identity, with regard to education, before coming to Delta State to come and criticize. And then, of course, you had that other reaction from David Odiele. So you have these politicians attacking each other, one way or the other. But as Mustafa Issa, the president of the Guild of Editors, pointed out at the Kwankwanso event, and as others have said, Nigerians are interested in issues, ideas, not rhetoric, but the details of how these presidential candidates intend to move the country forward, rather than the politics of abuse, the politics of hate, the politics of vitriol, the toxicity that we continue to see. That is not what the Nigerian people want. Nigerian people want ideas.
So it has to be said, I'll start with the Kwankwaso story. Good engagement, by Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, going out there, talking to the Guild of Editors. We expect more candidates, to talk to the Guild of Editors. At least this is not a very stringent process, talking to the Guild of Editors and interrogating their ideas. So I think they're going through all the presidential candidates. And I think that every presidential candidate should, at least, because you see, in this country, when you say most people think you're attacking them, I should at least talk to the Guild of Editors. But some things I'd like to extrapolate from the fact that the meat of the matter that Kwankwaso was saying was the fact that what I sense is that he wants a highly welfare state. But what Mr. Kwankwaso has not been able to say in his manifesto is how to pay for it. I have not seen anywhere in the books where Mr. Kwankwaso has been able to lay down how to pay for 1 million soldiers and 1 million security personnel all over the country. Has he at first been able to calculate the cost, what that will cost us as a country? And in case he doesn't have an idea of the cost, let me share some. Recently, junior police officers were given a tax waiver. Junior police officers. Currently, we have about 400,000 police officers, a little over that range, between, let's say, 300 to 400 or 500,000. Junior police officers were given a waiver that cost 18 billion. The arrears for payment cost another couple of billions. So if you are adding times 2 or times 3 to the police force, then how are you going to pay for it? The only time we came close in this country to adding a bulk number to the police force was when Shagari was there in 79. And we all know how he tripled the number to about 100,000 then. But what was the after effect? There was a blowback on the economy. So when he says he wants to have 1 million soldiers and police officers, how is Mr. Kwankwaso going to pay for it? Maybe he's got other ideas. Maybe he wants to collapse the NSCDC into... But the question is, how much is even the NSCDC force themselves? Other ideas that he espoused there, they are great. But the question is, can Nigeria afford to pay for a welfare state with the economic quagmire we are in today? And the indices are set up against this. 119% debt service to revenue ratio, the fact that we are even borrowing to service our debt, the fact that we have a country that 133 million out of 216 million are in poverty, the fact that we have economic quagmire everywhere, we've got massive insecurity. Is this the best time to be able to have a welfare state, and can you service the welfare state? So those are the frontal questions, we would like to ask as we go through this process. I hear we've got some minutes more. Concerning the PDP, I have always said it, that I hope in a case where the PDP, in a case, might not win the election because of this G5 group, I hope they'll be able to take stock and move forward. One thing is certain, it doesn't look as though these things are going to be resolved. Only on Saturday, Governor Wike launched the governorship campaign with the G5 Governors Integrity Group of the governorship candidate in Rivers State, Sim Fubara. And there, despite the fact that he's also calling for, okay, we want to make peace on one ground, but on the other hand, you are stoking the embers. So the question is, do they really want peace, or the word of, oh, we want to make peace in the air is just a caveat being thrown around? Because we know what happened in this meeting. The meeting was simply, we will support a bunch of people, House of Rep members, but we will not do governor. In fact, governor was mentioned, and presidency. And Chief Bode George was there, probably because of the qualms Chief Bode George has got with Jandor himself. And we all know how Chief Bode George is openly in support of the Labour Party candidate in Lagos State. So when the governors are saying they are not going to they're not going to support the governorship candidate and presidential candidate, then a faction of then some members of the party kicked against that and started chanting Atiku, Atiku, Atiku. And it was said that some talks were introduced, then they beat them up. Then the fisticuffs ensued. So what is the way forward of this matter? Will the PDP be able to collapse their ranks? I doubt. And I will leave a caveat that yes, they might settle their matter because they are politicians. But elections or campaigning is already in full swing. They've hit the campaign trail. The G5 governors are already campaigning as an independent bloc. And Atiku Abubakar has moved on with his campaign like he said in VOA. So will they be able to find a common ground? It looks shaky. But don't take too much to heart for politicians. What should concern you should be what these politicians will do for you. Because as we speak today, the life of an average Nigerian is in quagmire. Only 10% of the population have access to pipe-pump water. Nigeria is the open defecation capital of the world. These are the issues that should affect you. And concerning Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has a right to stomp. He has a right to do a lot. But really, can we empirically, verifiably say there have been no development in Delta states? Because when political candidates make a statement, we should also fact-check them, not because of electioneering and the likes. Can we empirically say that there have been no development in Delta states. And also, him saying, okay, ATM machine and everything, I just think that's campaign stop and rhetoric. But like I always say, time will tell as regards whoever emerges. But you should not forget, PDP has got a big stronghold in Delta State, but also PDP is disgruntled. There's still a fight on ground in the PDP as regards the emergence of Oboiwore and David Edevia. In fact, they went up to the Supreme Court before the court ruled in favor of Sheriff Oboiwore. We'll see how all of this pans out in time to come down.